Let's make sure the YouTube is up and at 'em. I used to have it. That's not it. No, that's not it. Ah, yes. Look at that. Live now. It's a beautiful thing. Make it go away. From the bonus room above the garage. Forgot, is that right? No. Just rehearsing that. From the studio above the bonus room. No. From the studio in the bonus room above the garage on the north side of Cary. Unscripted and unrehearsed, except for this part, which didn't help anyway. This is the Triangle Talk Show. And July 26th, 2018, episode 20, Politics and Media, 6 amendments over Fuquay. And for those of you looking at the video, I apologize for having to drastically reduce the number of letters in the word amendments. 6 amendments. Took out all of the vowels. Because there wasn't enough room in the title box that I made. I wasn't anticipating a title that long, ever. Well, I knew I was going to get titles that long. I just figured I'd deal with it at the time. Episode 20, Politics and Media, July 26th, 2018. I think I said all that. I am Gary Pierce. I am Julia-less. Julia, you could have had that title there. We'll save it for next time. Save it for next time. Why am I Julia-less? Here's a lesson I've learned. Don't make what you consider to be firm plans about constructing a podcast show with your co-host, your relatively new other host, not co-host, other host. Don't make those plans in the middle of doing a show and then expect them to remember and not really communicate about it much in the more than a week that follows. I'm not a good communicator. Anyway, Julia forgot. Well, she didn't forget. She was thinking, are we doing it yet? And then I sent some ideas for doing the show, and she was going, no, I've got other stuff going on tonight. So we are going to try it again Sunday night, 8 o'clock, I think, this coming Sunday. And then Thursday, probably. Trying to make something regular. I would really like to do a regular show Sunday night and Thursday night. That may be too much for Julia. It may be too much for me. It's probably too much for me. We'll see. I'm lucky to be here now. 6 amendments over Fuquay. Does it mean anything? Well, I will explain the Fuquay part in a minute. But the main thing is that on your ballot in November 6th, I think, the election coming up, you are going to have 6 proposed constitutional amendments to vote on. The North Carolina legislature has stuck 6 amendments. They've approved them. They're going to be on the ballot. 6 amendments to the Constitution. an amendment to the Constitution ought to be a big deal. They ought to cover things that are weighty. They ought to have some substance to them. Most of these don't. Most of these could be just plain old regulations passed by the legislature and signed into law by the governor. Now, I'm reminded of it wasn't a commercial. It was a PSA that I read when I was on a disc jockey in Lake Havasu City, Arizona. And it was something about water sport regulation, needing a life preserver or something on your boat. Lake Havasu is a big recreational area, so the town is built around that. And so I was reading this public service announcement about these relatively new regulations, all puffed up as a big announcer, and passed by the Arizona legislature and signed into law by Governor Meekum, who was the governor at the time. Guess that was handy for him. Seemed impressive to me at the time. That made it onto my demo. I'll play the demo for you sometime. All right, so we've got 6 constitutional amendments, many of them, maybe all of them, sort of like, what? Why? I'll tell you about them in just a moment. Not in great detail, in a little bit of detail. And the reason why there are these 6 weakling constitutional amendments is because, at least according to the left-leaning punditry and the News and Observer, which, is that the same thing? Well, their opinion page is. I don't know about the news page. Well, I do. Well, let me not get into that right now. Let me hang on to that for a little while. The reason these 6 weak-ass amendments are being put on the ballot is to bring out conservatives so that they'll go to the polls, and then when they're at the polls so that they can vote for these amendments, they can also vote for congressmen or women, state senators and representatives, other, judge positions, things like that. We've got this blue wave that is supposedly sweeping the country. It's going to put a lot of Democrats in office, maybe take back the U.S. House of Representatives, make the Senate, maybe I think there's a better chance it's going to take the Senate because that's really close right now. And maybe the House of Representatives. In North Carolina, the blue wave is, I guess, a little more iffy. Not quite so sure how well it's going to sweep across the state. I kind of hope it does, but with the gerrymandering that we've got going, it could be difficult. So we'll see, but the Republicans are taking no chances. They want to make sure that Republicans, conservatives get out to the polls and vote for the Republican candidates. And one way to encourage them to do that is to also give them these 6 constitutional amendments. These 6 weak-ass constitutional amendments to vote on as well. So what are they? Well, I'll tell you in a moment as soon as I can get my... I'm looking at the WRAL website. It's the website that I found that had the best, quick, easy list of the amendments. And there's something else about it that I'm looking at right now. When you go to the polls, because you've been driven there by the need to vote on these 6 constitutional amendments, you're not going to see any information about them except for the name of the amendment. We'll see the names of some of them in just a minute. There was supposed to be a commission that was going to write a little blurb about it. And The Republicans thought that that commission was too heavily democratically weighted and was afraid that they were going to write blurbs about it that would convince you not to vote for these. And so the legislature was called back into session this week to write their own blurbs about them, and then they never did. They decided to put nothing there. It's just going to be the name of the amendment. There will be, I was listening to the Domecast from the News and Observer today, and they were explaining that there's going to be some literature at the polling place that you can get outside and maybe even inside, explaining some things about it. It just won't be on the ballot itself. So I don't know about you. When I go to the polling place, I bypass everybody trying to hand me stuff as fast as I can. I've got my mind made up. I know what I'm going to vote for, except for the some of the judicial races. There'll always be a surprise. It's only lately, since I've been trying to do this podcast, that I've actually been doing a little bit of research in advance to figure things out. I'm sure you've always been doing that. I think I'm the only lazy one that never really, that figured that just going to the polls was doing my civic duty enough. Research in advance? Nah. Why bother doing that? I would read the News and Observer and to the level that they would give endorsements and some details. I would look them over and generally find myself agreeing with their endorsements. But they don't go below a certain level. They don't do all the judges, and they'll do some of the bond issues and things like that. There'll be some bond issues too. So So you're not going to get information on the ballot itself. If you want to know more about these and you forget what I tell you on this show, then get the handout, I guess. Make your mind up before you go. Here, let me help you with that. Okay, so a constitutional amendment to protect the right of people to hunt, fish, and harvest wildlife. Again, this is from WRAL. Again, this to me is something that could easily just be in the regulations, or it probably doesn't have to exist at all. This is going to protect the right to use traditional methods to hunt and fish. The term traditional methods is not defined in state code. It also says that hunting and fishing will be a preferred means of managing game and wildlife. I'm sure that there's a story behind that, but I don't know what it is. On the screen, for those of you watching the video, I'm showing what that amendment will be. What you'll see, I think this is what you'll see on the ballot: an act to amend the North Carolina Constitution to protect the right to hunt, fish, and harvest wildlife. And obviously a somewhat conservative, pro-conservative thing. There'll be plenty of Democrats that think it's a good idea to protect hunting. Democrats hunt. Democrats own guns. They want to protect that right. Is that right being threatened by anybody? Not that I know of. Someone's going to tell me that it is. These amendments, none of them are really, really long. Some of them are a lot longer than I want to actually spend reading the specific language. But I'll put a link on the Triangle Talk Show website to this article, and then you can get these links out of the article. Maybe I'll break the links out as well. We'll see. This is not going to give you the right to trespass. Yeah. Nothing herein shall be construed to modify any provision of law relating to trespass, property rights, or eminent domain. But you will be able to use traditional methods to hunt, fish, and harvest wildlife. So hunt, or maybe Boing. Fish. No. Traditional methods to fish. How about those of you that are not watching the video, and I'm not encouraging watching the video, but all you're hearing is the sound effects. That was me lighting a stick of dynamite and tossing it in the lake. The traditional method in North Carolina of fishing. What method of fishing is being threatened? I mean, you drop a line in the water, maybe a net. I don't know. Maybe something is. I fished once in my entire life that I remember as a kid. We were on vacation on an island, a Canadian island in Lake Huron. We lived in Detroit at the time. And we went bass fishing. I was not a fish eater. I didn't like fish, or at least I didn't think I did. I was a real picky eater. I liked peanut butter. Creamy peanut butter. Not today. Today, if I'm going to eat peanut butter, it's going to be chunky. Super chunk. And I'll put extra peanuts in. But when I was a kid, creamy peanut butter, no jelly, white bread, but I did not insist on having the crusts cut off. So it wasn't that bad. But no fish. So we were on vacation. Dad decided, let's do a fishing trip. He signed us up for fishing boat. We went bass fishing, and I probably caught something. One or two. Don't remember exactly. And it's going to be a long day out on the lake doing this fishing. And they didn't bring any peanut butter. They cooked up a mess of bass. And so here I am. Fish. That's all there is. It was good. I liked it. Don't tell anybody. Today I eat fish. Not super wide range, but trout, bass. Actually pretty good range of routine ordinary fish, mahi, all that stuff. It's pretty good. Salmon, of course. And out in Hawaii, I accidentally ate some raw fish. My wife, Cindy, who is not here, by the way, she's out some evening with big shots from best friends who came through town talking to their donors. So no Cindy, no Julia. She had I think it was an appetizer at a restaurant, and let me try that. It looks pretty good. And I popped this little nugget of what looked like beef in my mouth, and it was pretty good. Raw fish. I don't know which fish it was. It's called poke. And I liked it. So we were out at lunch with our friend who works for the Hawaii Volcanoes Observatory, and went to this restaurant that was attached to fishing boats. I mean, the fishing boats come in, they unload, ship stuff off to restaurants. Hawaii, by the way, I've learned, being one of the few states that allows the fish market to ship directly to restaurants. I'm not sure why or what would be in between, but you can get some really fresh fish there because it was swimming around at 7 a.m. and on your plate at 7 p.m. Anyway, they also prepare some sushi dishes, some raw fish. I don't think they cook anything. Don't remember seeing anything cooked. Anyway, so we all got poke bowls, and I liked it. Give it to Mikey. He doesn't like anything. Hey, Mikey likes it. So, I still don't go fishing. but I eat fish. So I don't know what we're going to be protecting. I suppose I could have done some more research to see what kind of hunting and fishing is threatened that needs protection in the Constitution. Seems like that could be just a rule. Okay, what's next? An amendment to strengthen protections for victims of crime, to establish certain absolute basic rights for victims, and to ensure the enforcement of these rights. And let's take a look at the full text. An act to amend the Constitution of North Carolina to provide better protections and safeguards for the victims of crime. Things like get reasonable, accurate, and timely notice of court proceedings, to be present at court if you're the victim, when the perpetrator, the guy accused, or I suppose it could be a woman, is going to court. You would know and you could be there. Any court proceedings involving the plea, conviction, adjudication, sentencing, or release of the accused, you would know. You could be there. Restitution in a reasonably timely manner when it's ordered in the court. So things like that. You can go look at all the details yourself if you like, or read them on the screen if you're. Hold them still for a minute. I don't know of anybody that is opposed to this. The question is, does it have to be a constitutional amendment? If we had a functioning legislature, if we had a legislature where you could bring in a bill, have a debate between both parties, and there wouldn't be much debate here, and everyone could vote for it, and you wouldn't have to vote against it just because the other party is voting for it or proposed it. That could be a fine law. Doesn't have to be a constitutional amendment. Or does it? Somebody tell me if you think it does. A constitutional amendment to establish a bipartisan Board of Ethics and Elections to administer ethics and elections laws and clarify the appointment authority of the legislative and judicial branches, and to prohibit legislators from serving on boards and commissions exercising executive or judicial authority. So the thing about this is it would change the way the State Elections Board is appointed and give the legislature control over the membership of a lot of boards that are currently appointed by the governor. So if you've been paying much attention to the shenanigans and, the back and forth between the governor, we have a Democratic governor, Governor Cooper, elected somewhat narrowly. At the same time, the legislature was fairly overwhelmingly Republican as a result of, to some extent, gerrymandered districts that made it a lot more likely to elect Republicans to the state legislature. So you got everybody out there voting. 2016, you got everybody out there voting, and about just a little more than half of the electorate elects a Democratic governor, and yet they overwhelmingly elect a Republican legislature. What's wrong with that picture? Well, what's wrong with it is gerrymandering, or as it should be called, in honor of me, gerrymandering. We'll get into that some other time. So they've been sparring about a lot of things, and the legislature has been slowly whittling away the power and authority of the governor to do a lot of things, and in this case, it's to appoint boards. And they've got their process for doing it spelled out in the constitutional amendment. An act to amend the Constitution of North Carolina to establish a bipartisan, oh, that sounds good, a bipartisan Board of Ethics and Elections Enforcement, and to clarify board appointments. This is one of the more detailed, there's not all that much to it. Let it sit there for a moment. So the governor wouldn't get to appoint any of these people anymore. And some of them get recommended by the President Pro Tem of the Senate. Some of them get recommended by the Speaker of the House. The governor is out of the loop. Whether this is a good thing or not, I don't really know, except other than it's always been a prerogative of the governor, and these boards are part of the executive, not part of the legislature. So seems like the governor should get to pick who's going to be on them. This may be one of those things that comes around to bite the legislature in the butt at some point when, the Republicans, I guess. If we ever turn things upside down and we have a Republican governor and Democratic legislature, then they're going to be upset. But that's probably one of the more politically inspired amendments within itself, not just the idea of bringing people out to vote. There's one even more coming up. You probably have heard of it. A merit-based system that relies on professional qualifications instead of political influence when nominating judges and justices to fill vacancies that occur between judicial elections. And again, WRIL says this would also weaken the governor's power. In this case, over filling judicial vacancies between elections. Currently, the governor has got wide leeway in these appointments. The amendment creates a commission that would accept judicial nominees from the public. Well, gosh, that sounds good. Evaluate them and forward them to the legislature. That would send 2 names to the governor, and then the governor would appoint 1. Judicial elections are, they're kind of iffy to me. Appointment, election. There's also a deal going on, not part of this amendment thing, but for a while on the ballot, you didn't know what party a candidate for judge represented. It was theoretically a nonpartisan election. If you read the candidates' descriptions, the things that they wrote about themselves, you could find the code words that would let you know which way they leaned. I wish that we could have a judiciary that didn't have political leanings. Well, that's apparently not possible. Judges, for all the time that they spend in the election process saying that they will be fair and impartial and make decisions based on the law, once they get there, they tend to be unfair and partial and make decisions based on their ideology. In cases that have an ideological bent. And I mean, some of those can involve interpretations of law, interpretations of statutes, things that politicians are trying to do. Some of them are just deciding on the guilt or innocence or sentencing of someone who committed a crime. You may be tough on crime, and sent somebody to a long-term in jail for something that was relatively minor. But you can read those things in what the candidates are saying. My wife is trying to get my attention. Yes, dear.
Are you by yourself?
I am by myself. I have no Julia. Do you want to join the show?
And do what?
I don't know. Come on and sit in. Guess who's here? Oh, now I've got to get to my control thing and put your name in here.
Wandering wife.
Yeah, my wandering. Did you have a good dinner?
I did. Yeah, it was a great place to eat too.
There she is, Cindy Pierce, real life wife. I'm glad you joined us. What we're talking about right now is the constitutional amendments that we're going to get to vote on.
Which are?
Did you know that we were? No. Okay. And you don't have to put on headphones because
I'm just listening to you.
Well, actually, I'll be playing some stuff that has audio
you can
later
cue
on.
Me.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'll be able to hang around. I need to.
Oh, this is only going to take another couple of minutes.
Okay. Sucker.
Yeah. So I've gone through a few of them.
So tell me about the amendments.
Well,
that we're going to be voting on.
My position on these amendments is that they are, I'm calling them weak-ass amendments. The purpose of them being there is to bring Republicans out to the polls because otherwise they might not come vote. And they don't need to.
Constitutional, okay.
Yeah, most of them don't need to be
going.
amendments. All they need to be is just rules, laws, regulations.
Protecting the right of people to hunt, fish, and harvest wildlife.
Yeah. Hunt, fish, and harvest wildlife. That needs to be protected because I don't do what would you think is the there we go, is the threat to hunting, fishing, and harvesting wildlife by traditional methods?
Well, I know that there are things like bow season. There are, you can't just walk in and shoot a deer or use a bow and arrow to kill an animal any time of year.
Yeah, I don't think they're trying to change that.
But I don't think that they're. I barely had a chance to read that, but I don't think they're changing anything. So I don't know what the problem is.
Well, one of the things.
What's the problem they're trying to solve? I don't know.
Yeah, and one of the things that I didn't really mention is that these are very non-specific. They're not. They don't go into any detail about what it is they're trying to solve.
Okay, but is it because the article doesn't go into detail?
No,
because the actual verbatim verbiage coming from
the actual. There it is. I'll put it up on screen. This is it. Okay. The right of people to hunt, fish, and harvest wildlife is a valued part of the state's heritage and shall be preserved forever for the public good. People have the right, including the right, to use traditional methods to hunt, fish, and harvest wildlife, subject only to laws enacted by the General Assembly and rules adopted pursuant to authority granted by the General Assembly to promote wildlife conservation and management, preserve the future. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's changing there.
No detail.
Okay,
you
give
missed, however,
one.
Yeah, you missed the fun part about me talking about the traditional method for fishing.
The dynamite, yeah. Don't think that's legal in this state.
It's traditional, isn't it?
It is somebody's tradition. Yes, it is. What else have they got? Show me another one. Let's see what else.
Okay, so I
bet be educated.
This is a
now. Are we going to be voting on these individually?
Yes.
Okay.
And you're not going to have any detailed information on the ballot about what they are. Just the name. There'll be a pamphlet available at the polling place, giving you some more information. The legislature has been fighting about what could be in these. So, protect victims of crime. I mean, again, this is just review for the audience because we've already been through this. But some things that we're going to protect victims of crime. Timely, accurate notice of proceedings of the accused. So if you're a victim, then the perp, you're breathing into the mic. You can't hear it because you don't have your headphones on. If you're a victim, and you get to know when the perp is going to trial. You got the right to be present.
Don't you already? I mean, once again,
Now you got to talk into the mic.
Since I don't know what the current law is, I don't know what's changing. So that would be helpful to know. Is there something that's changing about this?
I suppose these things don't exist in current law, and there is some
Thank you.
some complaint that it will cost money in judicial jurisdictions that they have to spend more money to be able to accomplish some of these things. So
keep going.
So
Give me
maybe
another
they're not. I don't know anybody who would think this is a really bad idea.
Well, no, I mean neither one of them because I don't understand what's different.
But does it need to be in the Constitution? I don't think so. I think a plain old law would be plenty.
Yeah.
Plain old law.
Is there another one? How many of them?
There are 6.
6? Wow. Okay.
This would be a Board of Ethics and Elections to administer election law. The big effect of this is mostly to hand the ability to appoint people on commissions and boards, take it away from the governor, give it to the legislature, even though those commissions and boards are part of the executive. This is just a power grab from the legislature. Something that they've been doing for a while now with Cooper, taking authority away because they can. They've got the supermajority, veto-proof supermajority, so they decide what to do, and they say, well, we're going to take this power away. Now we're going to take this power away. He vetoes them all, and they override the veto. So, I mean, this is red meat for Republicans to, you want to see it again? All right.
We'll just keep scrolling through.
Scrolling on down. Nonpartisan merit-based system to nominate judges to fill vacancies. This is kind of a small thing. Governor currently can appoint judges when there's a vacancy, and then the judge has got to run for election at the next election. That's going to be taken away from him to some extent, and to be put in the hands of the legislature, which would evaluate candidates, send 2 names to the governor, and the governor could appoint one of those 2. So a lot of it goes away from the governor. He still gets to make the choice of the final 2, selected for him conveniently by the legislature. Mm-hmm. Okay, so next. Cap on the income tax rate for North Carolina, the state income tax, to a maximum of 7%. Do you know what it is now?
I think it's 7.5, isn't it?
More like 5.25.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking, is it Wake County? I don't even
Wake County doesn't have an income tax. The state does, and the federal government. Income tax,
income tax.
Not a property
Never
tax,
mind.
not a sales tax.
Okay, got it.
Income tax.
Okay.
And it's, I think, about 5.25 right now. They brought it down a little bit, actually. Mm-hmm. Do we need a cap? And does it need to be enshrined in the Constitution? Yeah. This is it is Republican red meat again, because it's lower taxes.
Yeah.
Spend more, but don't tell anybody about that. We're just going to lower taxes. Can you hear me whisper? You don't have the headphones on.
Okay. I'm sure they can hear you.
They can. I don't know if you can.
What else?
You are a distance away. Ha! Here's the one. A constitutional amendment to require voters to provide photo identification before voting in person. The voter ID thing that they've been trying to get through for a long time, that occasionally gets struck down by a court. It's the solution in search of a problem, because we don't have... You'll find some people that try to drag up some form of fraud. Mm-hmm. But really, there's voter fraud. The kind of voter fraud where you go to the polls, because this is what it would be aiming to solve. You go to the polls, claiming to be someone else and vote.
Yep.
And I suppose you could do that in a couple of dozen jurisdictions.
Incoming.
You'd need to know someone else's name and someone's address, and that all wouldn't be too hard.
And you have to know where to go.
And you'd have to take the chance that they haven't already voted.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we'll be like,
I mean, to me,
wait, you already voted.
Yeah, to me it would be like stuff in a ballot box. Somebody that came in and, fed in extra ballots.
But that wouldn't fix that problem.
Right.
If that is a problem.
If that is a problem, even if it is a problem. So, yeah, I mean, in terms of people coming in and, voting as somebody else, I don't think is a problem.
Well, they did an audit from the 2016 election, and they found one.
One? Okay.
Not 1%. One.
One. Yeah.
One person who claimed to be somebody else. And I believe that person got arrested.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more worried about stuffing ballot boxes or somebody messing with computers that house the data.
The Russians.
Yeah. That's who I'm concerned about right now.
Yeah. Okay, so they've been working on that for a while, and the other thing about this is that it doesn't say what the ID really needs to be. It just says...
Well, it says the General Assembly was going to... Wait a minute. Was it General Assembly was going to decide what that would be?
You'll make the rules afterwards. So
right.
Vote on this.
Vote on it now, but we won't...
trust us.
And trust us to make the right rules, yeah.
Yeah.
Not so much.
Yeah, but that is pure red meat because they've been working on that for a long time.
That's a hot button out there, for sure.
So come vote for this. And Democrats probably not going to work that hard about it. In theory, anyway. Okay, so I think that's it. Yeah, that's the last one. So that
the fishing, I don't get. There's something behind that one.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is, but there's something behind it.
There is. Okay.
Maybe that's the stick of dynamite. They're gonna let you use sticks of dynamite.
Well,
to fish.
Gonna let you.
It's a tried and true method, sadly.
You grew up in North Carolina, right?
Yeah.
All your life.
Yeah.
Born and raised.
I am. But I don't remember anybody dynamite fishing.
I named this episode 6 Amendments over Fuquay. Do you know why?
6 Flags over Fuquay.
It wasn't 6 Flags over Fuquay.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
What was it?
It was 2 Flags over Fuquay.
Oh, that's right. So sorry. Yeah, you're right. I remember now.
And I told the audience that I would explain why. It was 6 amendments over Fuquay.
This was back when Fuquay was strictly farm country. That was before they had any kind of developments. When they were, I forget which station was.
Well, this is the guy that we're talking about. It was Pat Patterson.
Oh yeah.
And he was on WKIX.
Yep.
I think he has probably been on half the stations in town.
Oh yeah.
And again, for those of you that are looking at the video, first of all, this is the kind of picture that got me wanting to be in radio. You know, the disc jockey in front of the mics and the
mics, the knobs
and stuff in front of them.
Reel-to-reel tape.
Yeah. I mean,
splicing.
Well, you can't see very much of it, but here I am.
Come here.
So, Pat Patterson, this picture's from the 1980s. That radio console is from the 1950s.
Yes.
At WKIX. That's the kind of... I used a console like that when I was at a little radio station in Wisconsin in 1969, and it was old then. Mm-hmm. It was an antique at the time. And it's all tube, no transistors and something like that.
So he's the one that coined the 2 Flags over Fuquay?
Yeah, he passed away.
Died.
He passed away.
That was last year? Oh, gosh.
Yeah, January 17.
Didn't know that.
And,
81. Goodness, I didn't know that either.
Yep.
Okay.
So QDR, DNC, but best known for the time at Top 40 WKX.
Oh my gosh, Rick Dees used to work at KIX.
Didn't
Disco
you know that?
Duck? No, I did not.
Yeah.
I actually heard that the other day.
Yep. So, did you listen to Pat Patterson?
Sure.
What kind of a DJ was he?
He was good. I mean, I don't remember anything specific about him, but I mean,
did
yes.
Did he do the big DJ thing like this, or was he?
Not quite like that, but so he was the one that did the Two Flags Over Fuquay. I couldn't remember who it was that did that.
Yeah, he was the guy.
But it was a morning shtick because I've been here since '77.
Yep. So 6 amendments over Fuquay. Because Two Flags Over Fuquay is from 6 Flags Over everywhere.
Right.
So, anybody else in the audience remember that? Okay, so the rest of today's show is going to be about media. And this one, after 39 seasons, Chuck Caton is out as Carolina Hurricanes radio broadcaster. I mean, that's sad for him.
39 seasons? I
Right.
don't think so.
Well, because they haven't been here for 39 years.
Okay.
But before they were here, they were the Hartford Whalers.
Okay, right.
And he was
with
their
them.
announcer then. He came down with them.
So this was not voluntary?
No, it was a contract deal. His contract was up, and they were going to cut, as he was saying, something like 80% or so. And here's why. The team estimates fewer than 2,000 listeners per game.
Wow.
Now, they don't have any, it says that this is an article from News and Observer, that they didn't have any official metering, so they're just guessing, which is like 50% of radio
Well, what are they
ratings is guessing.
broadcasting on, the game on?
I think they probably got a network of stations.
Okay.
And on that whole network, I guess, 2,000 per game. My point, besides feeling bad for anybody who's lost their job and
especially
something like
after that many years of doing it.
And, he's in his early 60s, I think. He may find he's a good announcer. He did a really good job of announcing a hockey game is hard.
I was going to say, I definitely couldn't do that.
It's not that I listened to a lot of hockey announcing. I did some commercials for the Hurricanes when I was working at Soundtracks. And so Chuck was there. He recorded some commercials and stuff.
Okay.
And so I was pulling a lot of stuff from game play-by-play that he had done. That's probably the only time I've ever listened to it. Not a sports guy. Did you know I was not a sports guy?
I know you're not a sports guy.
Not a sports guy.
Well, that's a shame.
And so I could probably follow what he was describing as well as I could follow TV or hockey in person. We've been to a couple of games. We've been to an Ice Caps game.
Yeah.
Before the Hurricanes got here. And we've been to probably 2 Hurricanes games.
Yeah, probably.
And I can't follow hockey.
No, I don't know anybody that I've sat with during a hockey game and could explain it to me.
Yeah. The only thing I know about hockey is that you skate to where the puck is going, not to where the puck is.
Right.
That sound like anything you've ever heard in business?
Yes.
Yeah, over and over again.
Yeah.
Okay, so Chuck, 2,000 per game, and what they're going to do is they're going to put the TV announcers, take their audio feed and put them on the radio network, because it won't really cost them any more to do that.
Okay.
And maybe they'll have them describe a little bit more about what's going on, which will drive the TV audience nuts.
Yes.
They probably won't, though. They'll probably just,
Well, I haven't.
okay, here it is.
Yeah, I haven't seen the TV folks do it, so.
The TV guys are good. I think I had them on as well when we were making the commercials. But
95.7.
yeah, that's the next. As long as we're talking about radio, And the segues just keep on flowing on the Triangle Talk Show. There's a new station in town. There's a new station in town, Sheriff. They're calling themselves That Station. They say that they are on 95.7 FM. What they don't say is that they are on 1550 AM. And they don't give their call letters. Just 95.7 FM.
Yeah.
Thatstation.net. And we're going to click here to listen. See if this is going to work. That would appear to be, I can tell it's Blackberry Smoke, because they tell you who's on right now, and they tell you the last 15 or 20 songs that have been played. And what they're advertising themselves as is roots, Americana, country, rock, folk, bluegrass, and rhythm and blues. So, okay. I had to look up
a lot of ground to cover.
I had to look up a few of those. Roots and Americana. I didn't know what those were. And as it turns out, their roots and Americana are country, rock, folk, bluegrass, and rhythm and blues. Pretty much that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, good old Heartland America stuff.
Mm-hmm. Like John Cougar Mellencamp, The Boss.
Yeah, I would say that about, half of what you hear here is from the basic classic rock history. But I also don't recognize... I thought I was a big classic rock person.
Bruce Springsteen. There you go.
Otis Redding, Sitting on the Dock of a Bay.
That's Americana.
I would recognize that. I don't recognize most of the other names. The Heart in the Hand, Peter Gabriel, I know his name. Oh, Big Time. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Big Time. I'm going to be big.
Online at thatstation.net.
Okay, and then it's not a live DJ station. I think that in the morning and afternoon there's sort of a live DJ station, but the rest of it is all just quick liners in between.
Okay. Yeah, we've listened to it. At least I've listened to it a couple of times. One time they had a group of songs that I was enjoying. The next time, not so much.
Yeah.
But then again, I am not an average music critic.
Yeah. So, and I've listened to it for a few hours here and there, and again, I didn't know most of what I was hearing, but most of it I thought it was okay. Mm-hmm. Like this, not a song that I'm familiar with at all.
Which one?
It is Jacob Banks, Chain Smoking.
No, I can say I don't think I know that one.
I don't know that song. Huh. But, I mean, it doesn't offend me. This could be playing, it keeps me cranked up a little bit. But it's not going to go on my Google Music playlist. You know about my Google Music playlist, don't you?
I do. The 715 best songs of ever. 715?
I think it's currently about 720.
Okay.
Yeah. 720 best songs ever recorded.
I don't think it numbers them.
And this is not among the 715 best songs ever recorded. But the thing about that is that having picked all those songs, and I don't think I've got a particularly big playlist compared to what most people probably have.
Yeah.
I'm very selective about what goes in there. I want to make sure that when I click on the My Music thing and the playlist of what I call Gary's Everything, that every song that comes out of those speakers, I am going to love. No matter how, I'll put it on shuffle, I'll push play.
And you're okay with it.
Very rarely will I push advance across a song that I'm not enjoying at the moment. But it's on the playlist because it's
171. That's pretty sad, isn't it?
You bought all those, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I subscribe to Google Music as a streaming service. I
those aren't all
subscribe as a
songs.
streaming service. And I got that because initially all I wanted was YouTube Red, which they've rebranded to something else. I don't remember what it is. And I think the music service has been rebranded as well. It's Google Music or something, or YouTube Music. Anyway, I wanted YouTube Red for no commercials on YouTube, and the music thing came along with it. And I got the same 25 million songs that everybody else has got. Spotify and Pandora and Apple. So
W239CK 95.7.
there
That
we go.
station.
W2CK 97 something. That's the 95.7. I think that the call letters for the AM station are WCLY.
Yes.
They never say that except on the hour when they have to. 1550 AM, a kilowatt transmitter from just south of downtown Raleigh. And the weird call letters for the FM are because it's not an FM station, it's an FM translator. And because AM has been so badly sinking from public perception, that to some extent the FCC has allowed AM stations to grab onto something called FM translators, relatively low power stations that kind of fit in between full power broadcast stations where they can, and give the AM station a bit of a foothold in the FM band. Not enough room for another 50 kilowatt or 100 kilowatt WRAL in the band, but they squeeze this in. 95.7's full power station, the nearest one, is just down in Fayetteville, not very far away. And we were down there in Southern Pines not too long ago, and I tuned in. I wanted to see where you could hear this translator, and there was a station that was playing a country song, and I thought, well, okay, that could be them. I'm surprised we're hearing them down here, 60 miles away. Nope, it was the station in Fayetteville.
Yeah.
So the FM translator is 250 watts. It's up pretty high. It's 1,000 feet up, according to the records,
That
on
helps.
that tower that you see off of 1010 Road going down US 1. There's a 1,000 or 1,500 foot tower there. Like one of the TV stations used to be on it. Some FM stations are on there. Maybe a TV station's still on it. I think Channel 22 might still be on there. And so they're up, they say 1,000 feet. So that would be pretty good coverage. 250 watts is not a very high power FM station.
No.
I mean, the low power FM stations are 3,000 watts.
Yeah.
And WRAL FM is 100,000 watts. So, but you can hear them. Well, we're up on the north side of Cary. The studio and the bonus room above the garage on the north side of Cary.
Yeah.
Just south of I-40. And west of Harrison Avenue, just off Weston Parkway. And as we drive around here and listen to them, the signal, it's going to go a little bit, kind of in and out. And we're not very far away.
Yeah.
They don't want you listening on the radio. They want you listening on your phone, on an app. You can get them on.
They have an app?
They have their own app. Everybody who's anybody's got an app. I could get an app. You can listen to the Triangle Talk Show on
An app.
an app. I don't have an app. You could listen to it on a podcast
You
app.
get some kid to
Any-
make you an app.
Yeah, any podcast app, Overcast, iTunes. There's a bunch of them. I use one no one's ever heard of. It's called Podcast Republic. Not sure how I found that. Anyway, you can get us on that. You can't get them on the podcast apps because they're not a podcast. You can get them on their app or something like TuneIn Radio,
Yeah. I
which
used
is
to
an
use
app
TuneIn
designed for
Radio.
streaming. I don't know if they're on iHeart because iHeart is Clear Channel, and this is not a Clear Channel station.
Okay.
It's they're owned by Capital, which is local and independent. I mean, it's WRAL TV, pretty big, local and independent,
Yeah.
but they're not anybody's chain from anywhere. They're their own little chain. They got couple radio stations and TV stations in like Charlotte and Wilmington and other places around the state, but they're local. Okay, so that station, if you're looking for some music, the thing about my 715 songs that are the best 715 songs ever recorded, is listening to those, I get nothing new. I get no connection to anything new. So once in a while I pick up something off a TV show. And it's not like all of today's music is crap. I like a few new songs here and there.
Uh-huh.
Now, most of today's music is crap. Most music is crap from any era. And it's all in the ear of the beholder.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have headphones on. I'm playing the music in the background.
No, I'm not hearing it.
Turn the speaker thing up. It's the far right knob. Don't turn it up that far.
Homegrown music from The Connells, Tipped Merritt, Ryan Adams, Sarah Shook and the Disarmers.
We're doing a lot of things here.
And I've never heard of any of those, but this is the Allman Brothers in memory of Elizabeth Reed.
I'm not, no guarantees on how it sounds, but I know it's fun.
Don't recognize that one.
Well, they're not playing it yet. They're talking. Put the headphones on. Damn it. Because for one thing, the headphones are so attractive.
They itch.
Well, it's because they probably they're infected with something.
Thanks. No, it's because I overheat.
I like me some Allman Brothers. I got a bunch of Allman Brothers in the 715 songs ever recorded. I don't really know if In Memory of Elizabeth Reed is in there or not. But so I need something that gives me access to newer music or other music that I don't already know about. And so this helps a little bit. You are the left-hand volume knob on your headphones.
No.
Yes.
No, that fell out. I stuck it in a hole back there, and it's number 3.
Oh, okay. It fell out. You broke it? You broke my headphone amp?
No. When I picked up the headphones, the cord dropped on the floor.
Okay. Don't know why. All right, so
What else you got?
there are these guys. That station, 95.7. That doesn't really want to be a radio station. It wants to be an app. And they want to play to the world. They don't have much advertising right now. But they will someday. Switching from radio to television. The reason I got here, we're going to talk about some community TV. Cary, Raleigh, and Durham, they've all got their own little TV operations. The reason I got here is I was out riding my bicycle on the Greenway nearby, and we got a new piece of Greenway that's opening. If you're familiar with the Greenway, the Black Creek Greenway around Lake Crabtree, been very pretty. Connects up into Umstead. You can ride your bike into Umstead. Connects down farther south to other greenways in Cary. Doing a little bit of work on it. So part of it is closed off and you can't really ride the whole thing. They're also building a new leg of it. It's not a long leg, but it's a very pretty leg. They put a bridge, we call it a boardwalk, across the Black Creek. Well, across the
creek coming
the
into
Black Creek.
into
Yeah,
Lake
as it
Crabtree.
empties into Lake Crabtree.
Yeah.
And then paved greenway. This is a very civilized greenway. It's paved. You could navigate it in heels or with a baby stroller. And it'll go along the south side of Lake Crabtree. Well, they're still working on it. When they built the bridge, we started to see that, and it was barricaded off as they were building it. It all seemed like it was finished, but it was still barricaded off for a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking, why is it barricaded off? I went around to the other side where it starts over on Evans Road near Aviation. Now, this, ladies and gentlemen, is a local podcast. I've done some shows that had nothing to do with the local area. Now we're just a little too local. And it wasn't blocked off over there. So I rode my bike along the new area. I could tell it wasn't really totally finished. It was all paved. The bridges were all in over other various creeks, including Crabtree Creek, and this is called the Crabtree Creek Greenway. Mm-hmm. And rode up to that boardwalk bridge over Black Creek, and it was open from that side. So I rode across it up to where it was all barricaded off and turned around and rode back. So I'm thinking, yeah, this looks pretty good. I went to the town of Cary's website to see if they had any information about it. It was old. It was from May. They had a picture. It was still gravel. It had been all paved. They didn't really have any new information. They had a contact lady's email and name to contact. And so I sent her email and said, provide an update, maybe update the website. And I'm not showing that to you because I forgot to dial it up. And I'm only telling you that so I can tell you something else. So she did. She actually updated it, and I suggested putting in a little more detail than she had about what it was that they had to do left, and landscaping, and there were some changes in finishing and repair on the bridges that they built, things like that. So I rode my bike on it again. But this time it wasn't a weekend. The last time it was a weekend, and this time was Wednesday. Mm-hmm. It was full of construction. I was in the way. I was badly in the way trying to get around all these trucks and stuff. I'm just hoping, nobody from Cary Parks and Rec, please. Just as all the construction people, they're not going to go kick me out. But somebody from Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Young man.
So anyway.
Old man. You're violating. Are you trying to move the show along?
God, that's my job. I'm sorry. I'm used to 1 hour conference calls. Trying to get everything in.
Yeah, but conference calls aren't entertaining.
Oh, you haven't been on some of mine.
Well, then why do you want them to end?
Because I got another one to join up at the top of the hour.
Oh, well.
That's why. And plus, it's getting to be
10 after 10.
A Fitbit battery.
As we record this.
Yeah, I know, but
okay,
I need to head downstairs.
So the thing I wanted to get to was Cary's got its own TV stuff. Initially, they started on cable. And so these days it's saying, cable, Spectrum 11, Uverse, channel 99, Google, channel 142. But we don't have any of those. What we have is YouTube. And so you can get Cary TV on YouTube. And so here is their YouTube channel. I'm going to play a little bit of it.
This is Cary TV.
Uh-oh. Now wait, Cary TV. And we're still listening to... Still listening to that station. I got to make them go away. Okay, sorry, Cary TV. Let's start you over again.
This is Cary TV.
And this is something called Bud TV from July 2018.
What are you doing?
I'm getting ready for Summerfest.
What?
Come on up here, Chuck.
Now, what's Summerfest?
Well, we've got someone here to tell us all about that.
Oh, really? You're watching Bud TV, the monthly program that keeps you informed about what's going on in and around Carytown government.
This month on Bud, we'll talk to Lyman
So this is like
about Summerfest.
real television production.
Then we'll take a look back at Cary history for
Have you ever watched Cary
All
TV?
things green in Cary.
YouTube, cable,
Susan
anything?
Guilford takes us there.
Not watched
and
it.
Cary TV.
How long have you lived in Cary?
All that and more here
Long
on
time.
Bud TV.
Like about 1992, I
Hello,
think.
and welcome to Bud TV.
Yeah.
We are here at the beautiful Coca Booth Amphitheater, a shining example of one of Cary's great cultural destinations. It sits among 14 acres of hardwoods and pines, next to the Symphony Lake, with a capacity for 7,000.
So
It is also
this is
permanent summer home
not
of
too
the
bad
Carolina
as
Symphony
local
and
TV
Summerfest,
production
which
goes.
extends
This
through
guy
the-
is
The venue
not bad.
originally started as just a wooden platform covered by a tent next to the lake.
actually pretty good.
A dedicated group of symphony goers soon grew larger.
So
And the new amphitheater
you got that. There's another series called Cary Matters that is going to be a little different.
You're watching Carey TV.
Everybody's got their professional show open. I avoid those. I got that
Cute.
music thing.
Hey there, I'm Jennifer Robinson, District A Council Representative. And I'm Lori Bush, At-Large Council Representative, and this is Carey Matters. We created this program.
You've given up on your headphones.
I was overheating with them on my ears.
Okay, well, turn up that speaker a little bit so you can hear it.
Well, like I said, I'm going to have to go
Carey
downstairs.
uses new technologies to keep our community a great place to live, work, and play. I love this topic, don't you? I absolutely do. Jennifer and I both work in the tech industry, so this is a subject that's particularly interesting to both of us, and I hope you'll find it compelling
When
as well. Did you know that the
when
town
I
of Carey was one of the
first
first local
watched
governments in North
this,
Carolina
I
to
was
have
going to be
a
pretty
website?
mean about it. I was going to say that this
So we
is
were also one of the first to have
like
cable
really
TV.
bad
And
community
surprisingly,
television.
we were also the first
And
municipality in the
And
country
now that I watch it
to
for the
use
second time, it's not that
wireless
bad.
water meter system.
I mean, these folks are not
View the technology efforts that
broadcast
Carey has taken
professionals
to
by any
raise
means.
money
They're
to
not-
their
provide
job.
They're not
better
pretending to
services
be,
for citizens
but
and
they're doing
good
a
stewards
show
of
like
our
that.
natural
What, so
resources.
I guess
And Carey's technology.
in order to make any fun of it at all, because now that I've decided it's really, really pretty good, look at the set and remember this set. Maybe I'll just leave this here and you can remember this set from a little bit later when I play something. Raleigh has got its own Raleigh Television Network, RTN. RT, you know what RT is?
Radio transmission.
No, RT. RTTV. You are an RT fan. Russia Today. Don't you remember watching RT?
Well, watching, no. Reading, yes.
Reading?
Yeah. They got an app.
Oh,
Russian
okay.
news.
Okay. There was a while when you thought Russia Today was like better than American News at giving you good
No,
information.
what they are good at is they were always the ones that came up first on my phone for notifying me of any event that occurred. They were accurate. So as soon as they would pop up, then a couple seconds later it'd be CNN and BBC, and everybody else would start coming in with their notifications. But yeah, Russian Times always came up as the first notification.
Okay. Well, you know why they could tell.
Yeah, we know now.
Well, they could tell things first. Well, yeah, because they were making it happen. No, they're advanced time zone. They're in tomorrow, or they're very much earlier today. So being a, time zone that's way ahead, they get the news hours before we do because it hasn't happened here yet. No. Isn't that the way that works? Because like Australia is tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that they're getting today's news tomorrow.
No.
Tomorrow's news today.
No.
It's not the way it works. This
Good try though.
time zone things confuses me. Okay, so Raleigh has got theirs. An interesting thing about theirs, though, if you went back to Carey's, you would see that they tell you about their YouTube channel. The Raleigh Television Network, RTN, doesn't have anything on their webpage about their YouTube channel, and yet they've got their YouTube channel. And we'll just look at a few minutes with the mayor. They got their little opening. I don't think they'll mind if I play
Welcome
them.
to
A few minutes with the mayor.
Oh, that was cute. Did you see what they just did there?
Yes.
For the audio audience, they were hiding behind a tree and
Popped out.
they just popped out from behind the tree.
Hello, my name is Damian Graham. I'm with the City of Raleigh, and this is Mayor Nancy McFarland. Thank you for being here with us today. We are shooting today from, it's called Flowers
You've got a
Cottage.
cat in the
And it's
picture
one of the
now.
many buildings
The
that are
tail,
on
the
Dick's
raccoon
campus.
tail.
Oh,
We've
there's
had
a cat. Yeah.
Yeah.
spent a lot of time
There.
talking about
Yep.
the Dick's Park planning process. On
Okay,
this
so
building.
once again, they got a bunch of these shows.
Today. So one of the things.
And let's see there. This is all videos from Raleigh. Most of them are pretty short. This one we're just watching, starting in the beginning of, was 11 minutes. There's a lot of them that are just a couple of minutes. There's these Oak City sessions that I didn't know what they were. And this is one from earlier today. Turns out that they've also recorded a bunch of basically concerts. There's their professional opening. and that's, again, somebody's doing some serious production.
Oh, they are, yeah. It's very good.
Putting this stuff together for not really much of an audience, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I'm already bored with their introduction, though. Okay, it's over.
My name is Kate Rudy, and I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay, they call this Oak City Sessions, and I think that's...
Song is called I Don't Think You're an Angel Anymore.
This is out at Museum of Art, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Out in the lawn. I don't think there's an audience there. I think she's just talking into a camera.
Like
Probably, yeah.
closure song, sort
Well,
of.
I mean, if I were doing this, I would invite an
Identifying
audience out,
your
maybe
art
hopefully get 20, 30
in a
people.
situation and
You get some clapping and stuff.
reconciling.
Well,
So, I don't know.
depends on what she's talking about, whether
Well,
she's clapping.
Well, I mean, no, she's going to perform.
Oh, got it. Okay. Yeah, an audience would have been nice.
This is one of those songs that, makes me want to grab the nearest razor blade. But it's not that I don't like songs like that.
I appreciate that people can play well and sing well.
Yeah, and she's very, very nice,
Yes.
very talented. But, kill me now. All right, so
All right, I'm going to leave you to it.
I don't know if I could finish on my own.
Oh, you start on your own, you can finish on your own.
Okay, so we've seen Raleigh, there really isn't that much more. There's, I got Durham. Durham also does a really good job. Okay, so you're leaving. Goodbye. I love you, baby. See you. I'll see you in a few minutes. Oh, no, you need to stay because I just got one more. So Durham's got theirs. They've also got their YouTube stuff. There's also this this thing called the People's Channel, which is public access, Chapel Hill, Carrboro, Orange County, and Durham. Durham in on the thing. And best I can tell, they don't have anything on YouTube. You got to be on cable TV if you want to see that. Okay, now Cindy, come back. This is the last thing I'm going to play. And the reason I asked everybody to remember what that set looked like from Carrie, because it's going to come up again here.
If I'm not mistaken, you're from a small town in Illinois, right?
This is Colbert.
My grandfather was
And
Who's that?
and my whole family
I
lives
don't
there.
remember.
Well, everybody knows we love small towns here on The Late Show. I even do a
And
community calendar
this
where I
community
list
TV stuff that I was going to make fun of, but then I decided it was actually pretty good,
in a small
has
town.
been
I
a
did
staple
one with
of
Eminem,
humor.
from Monroe, Michigan, and I did another one
recognize
with
that,
Jeff
Seth?
Daniels for his town of Chelsea, Michigan. And
Good towns, very good people.
yeah.
I imagine that the people of
So
Manuka
Saturday Night Live is, almost every other show does a, community television parody of some kind.
Community calendar.
Does that look like the openings for the stuff that we just saw from
Yeah.
each town?
Yep. I love the spin.
And then there's the set.
To community calendar.
Okay.
Here are actual events.
Let me hold on to
happening
that.
this month.
Again, this is not a television show for you people. It's an audio show. So they're sitting there with their two chairs and a plant in between. Two chairs
Yeah.
and a plant. And two chairs
Plant.
and a plant. It's not
Couple
exactly the same, but
No, but it's typical.
Technology initiatives are representative of a
quiet.
popular movement
No.
called
Where to
the
go?
Smart
Stop
City
it.
Movement.
Quiet.
A lot of people.
Quiet. Okay, there we go. So, community calendar from Manuka, Illinois.
Month in and around Manuka, which is a word that means good land in Potawatomi.
If it wasn't such good land, the Potawatomi would probably still have it.
Okay. I have to be careful about how much I use
Next
here
Monday,
because
the Grundy County Chamber of Commerce is offering a workshop on networking business cards. which will teach attendees how to utilize business cards.
Wow.
Okay, so
did you write down the date and time there?
you know, when it comes to business cards,
you're proud of that one.
no, I'm actually not. We were swapping business cards at a last podcasters meeting, and everybody's got these professionally printed color.
Yeah, you can too.
Slick, shiny stuff in typefaces that are so small that I have to pull out a magnifying glass to read them.
Yeah.
I make this myself. I tried telling some folks that the business card basically looks like what you see on my website. But the logo, you know how companies will spend, the big companies, Apple and stuff, will spend millions of dollars making up their logo. That's, like two swooshes in a circle.
Yeah.
And then more modest companies, like what we saw when the video opened up for Raleigh, there was that stylized
oak tree,
I guess. And they probably spent $25,000 having that made up.
Probably.
Rough guess. I try to tell people, this is only $500. I had somebody make this for me for just $500. Anybody buying that? I made this. Wait a minute. Wait. Entertain the audience for a second.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to walk behind her. It's all yours. Show is yours.
That was a mistake.
Can you find a cat or something to help you?
Well, she's sitting over there in the cat tree.
She is.
Sarah D.
You are such a good podcaster, but apparently you need... You're a co-host.
At the moment, yeah.
Not ready to carry on all by yourself.
Nah. And I thought, okay.
This is the way it started.
Yep.
No, well, this is the way it finished.
End product.
The end product. This is not a television show. This is how it started.
So you kept that.
I drew that as an idea of how I wanted it. And, first I had a microphone over here, and then I covered it up with the headphone thing, put the microphone over there. There you go.
Yep.
Concept to completion.
Well done.
Anybody want to hire me to make their business cards? I didn't think so. That's it. We're done. We can go watch Studio 60. On the Sunset Strip.
Yep.
Oh, it's such a good show, and it only lasted one season.
That's amazing. It was very good.
It's sad. Has Aaron Sorkin made another TV show since? Well, Newsroom came out since then. That lasted, 2 seasons?
Yeah, that was 2 seasons, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, that's it for this episode of the Triangle Talk Show podcast. I'm showing the business card up to the screen again. Oh, and I just noticed it's in front of your face. There, it shows up even better on that camera. I just noticed that.
All right.
Give
some cats a snack.
Get to the control thing. You are Cindy Pierce, real life wife. Missing is Julia McClung.
Just plain old badass.
Other host. Yeah, you know where that came from?
No.
In the gun show. She said she's a badass.
Oh, okay.
I remembered that. She said she is. We have yet to know for sure. I am Gary Pierce. The show itself was 6 Minutes Over Fuquay, episode 20, July 26, 2018. Still approximately no audience for the show, so I hope you enjoyed it, those of you that are tuned in. We end with this. Over.
And out.
And Cindy leaves.